Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Tharshey and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we'll be talking about Redwall in Total War. So I hope you guys do enjoy this video, and if you do, please do drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and don't turn on post notifications. Anyways, let's get straight into it. Before we get started, I just want to say that the background footage you're going to be watching of both of the campaign and the battles is all from the Mossflower Total War mod for Medieval 2 Total War. So Mossflower Total War, it's a Redwall mod currently in development for Medieval 2 Total War, and that's where all the background footage is from. Now, let's get straight into it. So, Redwall is, well, it's a book series written by Brian Jacques, and it's basically, mice, hedgehogs, all these small undergrowth creatures, including some bigger ones like badgers and stuff, and basically them living, in civilization. There's the Abbey of Redwall, which is kind of like a church, but not exactly. It's just there. They have a community. They grow their own food. They take in travelers, provide them a place to stay, whatever. And then you have, Salamandastron, which is the mountain of the Badger Lords, where you have some pretty incredible characters like Lord Brocktree, Gregor Roseeyes, and a whole bunch of other Badger Lords that have lived there, over the years. And then, they're obviously served by the Hares of the Long Patrol, which is basically the military force of Salamandastron. And I think probably the only formal military force in the Redwall universe for the good side. And by good side, I just mean in Redwall, right, the animals are kind of grouped good and evil. Evil is basically all the meat eaters, so the carnivores are like rats, ferrets, toads, weasels, all of that stuff. And then good side is stuff like mice, rabbits, hedgehogs, hares, badgers, obviously, squirrels, otters, shrews, etc. And yeah, basically the universe is full of adventures, it's full of stories, it's got a whole lot of amazing characters. And we're gonna go through a couple categories that I think are important. So we'll start off with one being the map, then we'll move on to probably which setting of Total War would be best for it. And yeah, we'll continue from there. So first off, the map. Well, the map is already basically there, done for, if CA decides to make a Redwall Total War game, it's pretty much already done, In the books, they show a map of the area in every book, basically. If a book is taking place somewhere else, they'll include a map for that other, for that other piece of land or that other area, or if it's in the sea, show the sea, the islands around it, all of that. Basically, the entire map is already there, it's already been developed, and all Creative Assembly would have to do is literally just put it into the game, which shouldn't be too hard. Well, they're making it a separate game, I assume, but still, shouldn't be too hard. So map-wise, you have a very nicely drawn out and detailed map that's already been created, and that you can just, build into your Total War Redwall game. Now, next up we have which game type would best suit Redwall. Now, what I mean is, so for example, I mostly play historical titles like Rome 2, some Shogun 2, a lot of Medieval 2. I absolutely love Attila, and because of that, I do like Rome 2, which kind of uses the same UI style and stuff. And also, I have played Warhammer 2, which probably was... I honestly really like Warhammer 2, especially with the campaign, because it was so similar to Attila, like the UI and, the way it worked and stuff. So I got into it pretty easily, and I did enjoy it quite a lot. Battles were kind of iffy. I do enjoy field battles in Warhammer 2. They're pretty nice, especially when I'm playing against my friends or my cousins or whatever. Sieges, kinda disappointing, but Warhammer 2 is not terrible. I don't mind it at all. I have played it quite a lot as well. Then obviously I've also played Total War Troy, and no, I never touched Pharaoh, but I have played Troy. I didn't really like that. But we're getting a bit off topic, so let's refocus. Redwall, I think, would be very well served by a Warhammer type Total War backing or Total War style. And the reason I say that is because Redwall, so you have all your units, your armies, right, whatever. So you have, for example, for Salamandastron, right, if you were making a unit roster, you would have basically just different types of hairs. So maybe hairs with, with like swords and stuff, hairs with spears, hairs with slingshots, hairs with bows, and those will be of different unit types for Salamandastron. Now, the only other creature or creatures that are at Salamandastron basically is the Badger Lords. But they're very rare in the setting. Like, you'll only ever have one Badger Lord at Salamandastron at a time. And you basically need to use the way Warhammer does heroes. Like how in Warhammer your general is usually a single entity, you'd probably have to have that in Redwall Total War, just because for Salamandastron, for example, for your general units, you're gonna want to have one of your Badger Lords, right? Maybe they'll give you custom generals. Like I haven't read the books in quite a while, but like two of the obviously Lord Brocktree is like one of the first Badger Lords there. Lady Kregar Roseyes, basically she went blind because of the Blood Wrath, which is where she loses control in battle, eyes go red, and she becomes an absolute killing machine. And there was also, I forget, there was another Badger Lord that had a Kestrel, I think, as a friend. A Kestrel or a hawk, some type of hawk or bird that it had as a friend. I forget their name, but there was a lot of different Badger Lords, and you would need to have them as really tough, powerful, but single entity troops. Because you if you have a troop of 30 badgers, bro, that's like 30 different generations of Badger Lords in your one unit. So you couldn't do that. You would have to have a single unit for that, and you would have to have them be very powerful, just the way your lords and stuff, or your mages or whatever are in Warhammer. So in Total War, Warhammer 1, Warhammer 2, Warhammer 3. So I think that would be a core thing to have, is hero units. Even though in all the historical titles you don't have that, that is something I think you would need in a Redwall Total War. That being said, I want the actual style of battle to be closer to Medieval 2 or Attila, just because I really, really love Attila. I absolutely adore Attila battles as well. I've got like, over 3,000 hours in the game, and I think it's pretty amazing. So what you'd want is an Attila type battle, if you want Attila style of battle, but you would want it with the addition of hero units like you would find in Warhammer, just so you could have that for some of the legendary figures in the universe, whether it's the Badger Lords or, there's some absolutely insane characters both on the evil side as well as at Redwall Abbey. Like, very easy one to be would be Martin the Warrior, or his son Matthias, and then I think there was Matimio as well, and a whole bunch of other ones like that. And then pretty sure there's a couple snakes. I don't think they fought for any sides, but I'm pretty sure there were some vipers or whatever, and you could have those guys in there. There was a couple birds, I'm pretty sure, that were like absolute menaces that you would want as hero units, whether as a faction leader or just a hero unit that faction can use. For example, in the book titled Redwall, it's Redwall Abbey going up against Clerney the Scourge, and he would basically be a hero unit for his faction, where he has himself as a hero unit with his big bob tail with, I think it was like a spike at the end or something. And yeah, it would definitely need. I definitely think you should have hero units and stuff from Warhammer, but implemented into a Attila type of battle style, because I really enjoy the battles in Attila, and I think a lot of people would also agree with me there. Now, next up, talking about heroes and stuff, what would we want there? Well, I mean, I kind of already mentioned it, but yeah, we would want. Well, yeah, we basically talk about it, but. In terms of unit types, there's a wide variety. For faction leaders and stuff, you'd have heroes, like I said, from Warhammer, and you would have whichever is the most prominent members of that faction, whether it's Salamandastron, whether it's Redwall Abbey, whether it's the evil factions. Most of the evil factions would probably all be horde-style factions, because most of them are just roving hordes moving from place to place. Though, I mean, there would be some pretty cool evil factions. For example, Malfox, I remember one of the books, the evil faction is, or the evil guys, whatever, are foxes. They call them Mal foxes though, because they have like pretty good camouflage abilities, and there are actually quite a few of them. So you could have maybe Mal fox like cavalry unit or something, or an assassin type unit. I don't know. And yeah, it would be pretty nice. There's a good roster of units for every faction. Even for a faction like Salamandastron, where you only really have hairs, you could just have different weapon types, to have different types of hairs. Like you can have one with swords and shields, one with spears, whatever. And you'd be able to fully flesh out a faction like that pretty easily. Plus, obviously, there's other types of animals that did journey to Salamandastron. For example, maybe you could have a special unit or whatever that that's limited to recruit, and that could be a Kestrel, because I'm pretty sure it was a Kestrel that one of the Badger Lords was friends with. And then you could, for Redwall, you have Redwall, there's no problem making a unit roster. You have mice, you have hedgehogs, you have squirrels, you have otters, you have absolutely everything. You could even have an old version of Kreger, Lady Kreger Rose-Eyes, because she was the Abby mom or whatever. After she quit being a Badger Lord at Salamandastron, she went over there and she stayed at Redwall Abbey until she finally died. And then there's obviously a couple good side roving or horde factions. Like you could have a shrew horde faction, which is basically Log and all his shrews, which was pretty cool. Their war chances retreat, just like the name of their chieftain is Log, and they would just all repeat that chanting when they went to fight and stuff. And that would be pretty cool, because they were masters of like the river and stuff. They had really good watercraft, and you could make a whole bunch of pretty cool factions with pretty unique unit rosters across each faction. And you could have really nice field battles. You could have maybe not the greatest, well, you wouldn't have the most settlements for sieges, because the only two that really get attacked in the books, it's been a while since I remembered, but are like, Redwall Abbey and Salamandastron. But there are a couple other ones, like the castles the Mall Foxes had lived in, and all of that stuff. And you could also have some really cool naval battles, because there was a lot of Corsair sea rats, there were the otters, there were the shrews, obviously. And yeah, that would be a pretty good thing. But overall, I think a Redwall Total War would be a very solid option. And I know I'm probably not going over a bunch of stuff that I'm just not thinking of at the moment, or when I was putting this video together, but I know you guys watching are going to start suggesting a ton of stuff that could be added into a Redwall Total War to make it, so much better, so much cooler, and have all those interesting, unique mechanics. Like, for example, right, you wouldn't really use gold, because there's not really any monetary system in Redwall, but you could have something like food being very important. Food could replace gold, so you could have such an amount of food needed to build to build something or whatever, and that could affect your population growth, and basically make food a very important part of the game, because at Redwall Abbey they are known for making absolutely insane feasts and stuff. Salamandastron don't have the same type of cooking capabilities that Redwall Abbey does, but they still have some pretty good chefs and can put together a pretty nice feast if need be. So food would be a pretty big factor, and they would need to make that a important game mechanic, and in the way they implement it. And yeah, there's obviously a lot of other stuff as well, like for Redwall Abbey they need to make each faction unique, and give them bonuses, or give them traits or whatever that makes their playstyle unique, because then you'll have a very interesting campaign. And a lot of the campaigns, right, or a lot of the stories obviously take part in different time periods. So instead of having one grand campaign, you'd probably have to have multiple campaigns that you play through. So like you would have the grand campaign maybe being the original Redwall book that I read, which was Redwall Abbey going up against Clooney the Scourge, and then from there you would have to have a bunch of other campaigns set in different time periods with any events that took place. It was like Martin the Warrior fighting, I think it was wildcats, right? I can't remember, it's been so long, but when he went and cleared the area, freed the citizens of Mossflower, and actually established Redwall Abbey, that was before that Redwall book took place. So that would be the past, so you need that as a time period, and have a campaign where you lead Martin the Warrior, you overthrow the wildcats, you establish Redwall Abbey and all that stuff. And then you would obviously need a lot of other time periods as well, where because Redwall, it's all taking place in the same place. Like a lot of the Redwall books take place in or around Redwall, Salamandastron, and the surrounding lands, but they all again take place at different points of time, So that is something they would have to think about. Instead of having one massive grand campaign like most Total War games do, you would have to probably have multiple smaller campaigns instead, with each one having a unique objective, maybe somehow base it on the books, or find the books that all occur within X amount of years and group them all together and have a campaign with all that in it, you know. So it would be a lot of work, obviously, but, you know, if they make it well and they do justice, you know, to the Redwall lore and to the title and the universe, then they would make a very, very nice Total War game, and I think a lot of us would love that. Like, since discovering the Mossflower Total War mod personally, I've started hopping into it and playing it out a bit, and, you know, Medieval 2 is just never my thing, especially for campaigns, because I was introduced to Total War on Attila, so trying to go back and play a much older Total War is not really it for me. But that being said, I do still like the battles, and, you know, I really want to hop into some custom battles, do a siege of Redwall, you know, have Cluny the Scourge attacking and sieging Redwall Abbey, or defending the mountain fortress of Salamandastron, having the Heads of the Long Patrol, you know, fighting hordes and hordes of evil vermin. And, oh yeah, another thing that actually reminds me is these way stats would have to work. So Salamandastron would have to be like, you know, the elves in Lord of the Rings or in the Lord of the Rings mods for Total War, where they have much fewer numbers. So like maybe a patrol of hares would be, or a unit of hares would be 20 or 30 hares or something, and they have much higher stats. But obviously, you know, don't make it just pure stat based, because that would suck, but make it where you can actually balance it out and make it work, where, you know, you have these small elite units going up against much larger but obviously much more poorly trained and not as professional units, which would be all your rats and your stoats and your weasels and all your evil units, basically. Kind of how you have, you know, small elite troops of quality units in, you know, Gondor and in Lothlorien and the dwarves, and you have much bigger but, you know, less well-trained units in terms of Mordor, Isengard, and all of that stuff. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else we can really talk about, because you know what, actually, let me take that back. There's probably a lot more we can talk about. I just can't think of it at the moment. But I believe that Redwall in a Total War setting is a very viable option, and it would be a very, very fun, very nostalgic Total War for a lot of us, you know? Because Redwall is a book series that I read when I was very young, and I assume a lot of other people probably read it as well, you know, a long time ago. And yeah, if they got a Total War game and they did it right, it would, well, it's going to make CA a lot of money, you know? I'm sure a lot of us would buy a Blood and Gore pack for that, because, I mean, who doesn't want to see that happen, right? If it means we're getting a Redwall Total War, I'll buy those DLCs. I'm not supporting adding a whole bunch of DLCs to a game, you know. I think they should make the game with all the content you want, you know, at the start. But hey, I'm willing to support it because, you know, it's a universe I really like. And if we're not going to get something Lord of the Rings themed or something, well, I think Redwall is a very good alternative fantasy universe that Creative Assembly could explore. I don't know how they would go about getting the rights to it or how expensive that would be, but hey, I think it's an option. Let me know down below in the comment section, guys. Would you want to see a Redwall Total War? And if so, what would you like to see in it? What would you like to see added to it? Let's discuss in the comment section, you know. Let me know, like, what you agree with from the things I said, what you don't agree with, how you think, you know, Creative Assembly should implement it, and how the whole thing could work as a Total War game. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, please do drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn those post notifications. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.